Welcome to day 391 of our DeSo journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian. And remember, these videos are being sponsored by NFT Tech. They are an investor in Clout Feed. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today. There's a lot of things happening on DeSo. Yesterday was a really busy day. Brian, let's get started with the diamond question of the day. What is that question?
So every day we're going to do a question. If you reply to the question with an answer that we like, you'll get 3 or 4 diamonds. Reply in the comment section below this video on DeSo. And today's question is, who will be the first major corporation to integrate with DeSo, and why do you think so? And I'll just quickly give my thoughts. I don't think it's going to be an obvious one. I think it could be something as simple as like a Shopify, a partial integration, or something that people aren't really thinking about off the bat. Like what immediately jumps to mind is obviously like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, but I don't think that's the way they're going to go. Maybe, and it would be great if they did, but I think there's an opportunity in other areas where somebody could actually integrate.
I'm going to say Coinbase. I think Coinbase is going to do it with Coinbase NFT, and we're actually moving right into that topic right now. Coinbase NFT launched yesterday. It's been in the making. People have been excited about it. They wanted to, right now OpenSea is the main marketplace for NFTs, but Coinbase NFT has a chance to kind of pull some people over to their platform. And Coinbase NFT launched, and it's interesting because if you go to their site, you'll notice that they have commenting under each NFT. And it actually reminded me exactly of NFTz. Of course, NFTz is a site that we're working on with the Van Halens. But
so we've decided we're going to sue Coinbase for $50 billion. And no, I'm just kidding.
No, so if you go to any NFT, you'll notice coming directly under the NFT, and it's in almost the exact same format that we have on NFTz, except you can't diamond comments and you can't do that stuff. But it's really interesting because Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong made some tweets yesterday, and I'll just go through and read what he said, which I think everybody on DeSo is going to find quite fascinating. Of course, Coinbase is one of the early venture investors into DeSo. So they have money invested into DeSo. And Brian Armstrong, of course, is a member of DeSo. His account has been verified on DeSo. So I'll just read what he said. He said, Coinbase NFT has a social component to it. Just want to acknowledge that we need to make social more decentralized over time. We're stuck in a Web 2.5 world still, moving toward Web 3. Assets are decentralized and identity can be decentralized, but follower graphs, comments, and some of the post content are still centralized. Opportunities abound to move more of this on-chain over time. And it's really, just go to NFTz. If you're not familiar with NFTz, if you're not familiar with DeSo NFTs, you're not going to be familiar with NFTz. But NFTz is a shining example, I feel, and we might be biased because it's our product, of how you can decentralize all of that and put it on a website. On NFTz, you do have the decentralized identity. Everybody has their identity, their DeSo identity. Assets are decentralized. Obviously, the NFTs are decentralized. Follower graphs are decentralized. Everybody's followers, all that's taking place on the DeSo blockchain. It's all decentralized on NFTz. Comments, all decentralized, using the DeSo blockchain. And all the post content is all decentralized on NFTz. So opportunities do abound. All you do is do exactly what NFTz is doing and implement DeSo onto Coinbase NFT.
Yeah, simple integration. And I agree that I think Coinbase could be one of the major corporations that integrate with DeSo. Armstrong's basically talking about DeSo almost word for word about how DeSo markets itself. And the fact that they are a major investor in DeSo back when it was BitClout back early last year, I think all the signs point to possibly an eventual integration of NFTs, Coinbase's NFT marketplace into DeSo or DeSo into Coinbase's NFT marketplace to allow for the social features. And I can't imagine any other blockchain being able to do that for them unless they create a blockchain from the ground up. And I don't think they can do that. I think it's quite prohibitive because if they do create their own blockchain, they're going to run into the same issues that Facebook has with Libra a couple years ago. And that's SEC regulations, just all kinds of issues, I think, with regulators. But if they adopt an already created blockchain, they don't have to worry about that. It's decentralized away from them. They're not the ones that created it. They're not the ones that are running it. It just totally changes everything.
Nobody wants decentralized blockchain created by a centralized corporation.
Right. And so I would actually be amazed if a year from now, DeSo isn't integrated into Coinbase's NFT marketplace. And if something else is, I cannot imagine another blockchain being able to integrate like DeSo could.
Well, and we go back to what I said earlier, Coinbase actually invested into DeSo. Coinbase Ventures invested into DeSo. So they actually own a lot of DeSo, unless they sold it, which I highly doubt they have at this point. But I mean, why wouldn't they choose DeSo?
Yeah, and it would be such a boon for DeSo because you're going to instantly have possibly millions of new users who are integrated, who are basically forced to create an account.
Of course, there are some issues because, okay, you're going to use DeSo commenting on Ethereum NFTs. Are each of those comments going to show on other nodes? Do you automatically hide those from other nodes and just allow them to be pulled if you want to show hidden posts if you run a node? So there are some issues that have to be worked out, but it's all completely doable.
Well, I think Ontra does some interesting things where you can show it on DeSo, you don't have to show it on DeSo. Maybe it could be the reverse. Maybe you don't have to show it on other nodes on DeSo, but it will still be on the DeSo blockchain. So there's ways to kind of figure that out and work with that. And I'm sure that if Coinbase was interested, I'm sure Nader would work directly with them.
Yeah, and if you're watching this video and you aren't familiar with DeSo, check out NFTz.zone. And that's the example I talked about earlier, where all that stuff is already decentralized. But right now, NFTz only has DeSo NFTs. Anyhow, let's move on. Nader yesterday was interviewed on the Anthony Pompliano podcast. Of course, you know him as Pomp. He's a huge crypto podcaster. He's known among Bitcoiners. He's known among all cryptocurrency people as one of the top figures in the cryptocurrency media, I guess you could call it.
He's basically like the Kim Kardashian of Bitcoin, like the biggest influencer, one of the biggest influencers within the space.
I don't know if Anthony Pomp would like that comparison, but sure, you can do it. But anyhow, Nader was on there. He talked about DeSo. He did a great job explaining DeSo and answering Pomp's questions, and Pomp had some really good questions that I think somebody who's not familiar with DeSo is going to have. So I think it was great to allow Nader to answer some of those questions that I'm sure a lot of people out there would have.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the commentary from Nader came from his blog post that he posted. And of course, if you were paying attention yesterday to Nader and what he was doing, you saw that he actually published a blog post. And I'm sorry, I was just typing, I just want to bring up the title of the blog post. It was on his nadertheory.com website, and it was titled Twitter, the Blockchain Business Model and the Innovator's Dilemma. And basically what it did, what it sought to do was to talk a lot about why Twitter should move to a blockchain format, but why they might not. There is a dilemma for them. And there's reasons why we haven't seen Twitter or Facebook move to a blockchain or integrate blockchains quite yet. And he goes over that, and he goes over the reasonings. He said that basically Twitter needs to monetize and centralize their content in order for their ads-driven model to work. So basically Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they all rely on advertising dollars in order to profit, and they get a lot of advertising dollars. If they were to move toward a blockchain framework, they would have to give up a lot of those ad dollars, not because they can't sell ads on a blockchain driven database, but because others could create new Twitters with that data, and they wouldn't have to, they might not put ads up. So people might run away from Twitter if Twitter is filled with ads, whereas these other nodes running that database aren't. Facebook and Twitter started out open, actually. I actually remember this back in the early 2000s, especially with Twitter, where you could actually pull up Twitter's data API on other websites, or you could call them nodes if you're talking blockchain. And of course, it wasn't on a blockchain, but they kind of had to transition. They transitioned to an ads-driven model, and in order to do that, they had to control the data and own the data. And data kind of became this asset that you could sell ads against. And basically all of social media, Web 2, has gone in that direction because it's more profitable right now. But what if that model changed? And what if you could actually monetize via the blockchain, and creators could actually make money, and you could actually monetize by having transaction fees? And by transaction fees, they could be very minuscule. Maybe it'll cost a tenth of a penny to make a post or something like that. But if you have 300 million users making thousands of posts a day, millions and millions of posts a day, maybe billions, that adds up. And we need a model that allows for openness, but also allows for profit. And I think what Nader said is that they could gradually transition to that point, like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those. But by the time they gradually do that, he thinks that a killer app on a blockchain will have already kind of eaten into a lot of their market share. And Nader goes on to talk about like anti-fragility, which means just like one killer app on a blockchain can actually explode that blockchain and make it huge. And we saw that with Ethereum, especially with ICOs, initial coin offerings, built on the ERC20 framework. He also said that the thing that's been missing for social is affordability of data on chain. And Ethereum, if you were to build DeSo on Ethereum or build a social platform on Ethereum, it's pretty prohibitive because of the cost of data. Imagine you pay like $1 a post or even more than that. That's a problem. He says that there's no winner take all, but instead competition on the app layer of the social change changes the dynamics. And he said, quote, "The dynamics of the app layer change from being winner take all, like social is today, to a split. And that split could be, you might be competing against others to show that data in a better way, a more efficient way, maybe a better algorithm, maybe a better just UI or UX. And that competition will drive further innovation, I think. But for Twitter or Facebook to kind of adopt its own blockchain technology, like I said earlier, it's very hard because of heavy regulatory scrutiny. And this regulatory scrutiny, like we saw with Facebook Libra a few years ago, forced Facebook to pretty much drop their plans of creating this blockchain that they were going to do. And that, I think, gives these other apps or these other blockchain, these actual blockchains built from the ground up, an advantage. So Nader finally, he kind of says, so what is the solution? Like if he was the board of directors of Twitter, or if he was Mark Zuckerberg, what would his solution be to allow for a transition to blockchain without being eaten alive by these other blockchains? And he said the best solution would be integrate with a blockchain that's already out there that can actually handle the data. And what better blockchain than DeSo, of course. And he's not necessarily talking about DeSo, but obviously he is. But the article could be read with any social blockchain. But right now, DeSo is, in my opinion, by far the best social blockchain out there. So if Twitter was to integrate with DeSo, then they automatically have all their users still. They don't have to worry about regulation. And that should be a solution. So it was a really good article. If you have time, it's probably about a 15-20-minute read, but it's a lot of great information. You can really kind of understand where Nader sees Web3 and social going over the course of the next several years.
Yeah, and say Twitter did integrate with DeSo, there is that idea that, okay, well, then people are just going to leave Twitter because, you can get the same data on another website that's running at their own node and pulling that same data. But ultimately, that I don't think that's going to happen. People are used to Twitter. People have the Twitter app. People, Twitter is just Twitter. So people aren't just going to leave. But sure, people are, okay, wait, let me backtrack. Sure, people are going to leave, but that might be like 1/10,000th of the people on Twitter would actually leave for another node. Even people who hate Twitter, their brains are programmed into going to Twitter. So I don't think that's a concern that Twitter should have. I think integrating with DeSo is a solution. It's just such a huge move. Like it's just so big of a move that they need a CEO who's willing to take that risk.
Well, and I think that if you stop caring about profits, like Elon Musk might not really worry about, I think it could be a great solution for Twitter. It would fix the issue of censorship, because then every node gets to choose what they want to censor. The data is there. It's just the lens that you put over the data at the node app level that matters. I think it fixes that.
I'm not sure Elon Musk abandons the idea of making profits. If you're going to spend $43 billion on privatizing a website, you had to get that money from somewhere. He doesn't have that money sitting around in his bank account. He has to borrow it from someone. Well, and those lending him the money are going to ensure that he has a way of paying it back.
Well, from everything I've seen, he's not in a rush to turn a huge profit on Twitter if he was to buy it. He's kind of said this, and he would be able to profit off of Twitter if he did integrate with DeSo. But there will be that probably year or two where things get turned upside down. And in the normal situation, shareholders and the board would be up in arms and basically saying, abandon this plan. He would be able to buy that time without having to worry about what they're saying.
Makes sense. All right, let's move on. We've been following a story where Elgin has been trying to buy the diesel.com domain name. At first, he bid $219,000 on it at auction. He was outbid, and the winner, I believe, won it for $220,000. He then offered the winner $500,000 to sell it to him outright, which would essentially be giving that individual over $280,000. So the buyer got back to him, declined the original buyer got back to him, declined the offer, said $500,000 is not enough. Elgin essentially was informed by the broker that he probably had to offer $1 million to get the current owner to sell it to reconsider selling it to him. So Elgin asked the community, "You think it's worth it for me to offer $1 million?" And there's a lot of debate going on in the thread. Personally, $1 million is a lot of money to offer for a domain name. It might be worth it. I mean, if you're DeSo, it's definitely worth it. But if you're Elgin, depending on what your plans are and what you think you can do to profit off of it, I don't know. $1 million's a lot of money, unless you think unless you're pretty certain DeSo is going to explode. But then maybe you're better off just using that $1 million to buy DeSo.
Like, as a domain investor, it might not be a terrible buy if you think not necessarily DeSo the blockchain is going to take off, but if you think decentralized social media will, and DeSo will be used kind of as the terminology for it. Because if you think DeSo is going to be the next big thing, and DeSo as in decentralized social, then a 4-letter domain that's a word in this space would be super valuable. I mean, if DeSo really did become this huge category killer, then $1 million is nothing. But I can see both sides of it. I just want to know, like, did Nader once own it and sell it, or did he misspeak when he said that he owned it? I know there's a video saying where he said he did own diesel.com, so maybe he can clarify that as well.
Yeah, I saw that too. There was actually a video where he said he owned diesel.com. Maybe he was just referring to diesel.org. Maybe he was in the process of buying it and it fell through. I don't know. But anyhow, I want to move on to something else. NFTz. If you haven't seen the post yet, I say they because it's not just us, but they had a teaser video that was released today. So definitely check that out. It teases a project that aims to bring NFTs and the metaverse together. And is a project we're working on with 3D Social. Andrew from 3D Social is amazing. The project's a big one. It's something we think has a lot of potential. We don't have any dates on when it's going to be released, but check out the teaser video. Let us know what you think. I also want to say we have three big moves, three big features that we want to implement in NFTz over the next, I'd say, several months. I don't want to give a time frame because I know last time we gave time frames and we missed it on several occasions. But over the next several months, we have three big, I guess we could say, announcements, or three big projects that we're working on to bring into NFTz. NFTz is going to change, and it's going to change in what we feel is a really cool and spectacular way.
Yeah, and I think a good time frame would probably be sometime midsummer that all three of these will start firing. They won't be complete, but I think in the middle of the summer, there's going to be a lot of really cool things happening at NFTz. I'm excited. I know the whole team's really excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, and maybe we can create a product that beats Coinbase NFT before Coinbase NFT does. Who knows?
Yeah, force Coinbase to integrate with DeSo, because that's their only solution.
Which wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, I would support that. If we can push Coinbase, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So Pearl, Anku, user Anku was replying to Pearl, and Pearl replied back and gave a little bit more detail about what's happening with their app. Of course, Pearl is originally Gem, and it's been much anticipated for almost a year now. But they said, quote, "We're working on our app store review, and we will have a date as soon as we can." So basically, they're working to get their app, I guess, approved by, I'm guessing they mean Apple App Store. And once they do that, they should have a date on when they're going to release things. So I think we're getting close. And Pearl is definitely something I'm looking forward to. I've been looking forward to for many, many months.
Yeah, I mean, the next several months, I think, are going to be exciting on DeSo, with Ontra expanding, with Pearl coming out, with Story probably being released sometime during the next couple of months. The stuff we have at NFTz, Supernova's DAO. I can't wait to see how that goes on DAO. And of course, DAO is launching, and all the projects that are going to be launched on DAO. So the next few months are going to be super exciting on DeSo, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Ontra and DeSo were actually discussed in a Coinbase newsletter yesterday. The newsletter was talking about Twitter, and I'll just briefly read what it said. It's a few sentences long. It read, "Twitter has already been funding a decentralized social media project called Blue Sky, which is building a decentralized protocol for public conversations that will allow users to control their relationships with audiences and let developers innovate on top of the protocol without needing permission. Elsewhere, Web3 developers are working on related concepts. A project called Ontra, for example, is focused on connecting working professionals. Each user profile is an NFT with connections documented on the DeSo blockchain." I mean, I think they're explaining each user profile as an NFT. When it comes down to it, I guess technically, yeah, it's an NFT, as is all the text you put on the blockchain.
Yeah, and big congrats to Michael Mara and the team for just getting mentioned by Coinbase. I know they work so hard. They're some of the hardest working people. I think one of the hardest working nodes out there. But this is just more fuel on the fire that could possibly result in an integration between Coinbase and DeSo. Clearly, DeSo is on their radar. Clearly, they said that they want to head towards a Web3 direction for the follower graph, for the comments and reply graph. So you put all this together, and I think there's a decent chance, I don't know, I don't want to put a number on it, but a decent chance that we could see some sort of integration in the future. Whether they're going to wait a little while to see how things play out or not, who knows? But I'm excited, and this has me excited for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option I could see is if they were to wait around for Blue Sky and integrate with Blue Sky. But I don't know if Blue Sky is going to have all the features that they need for a NFT marketplace. I don't know all the details of what Blue Sky is going to have. I know it's been in the talks for quite some time. I haven't kept up to date on, the development of it, but DeSo is already there. They already have that have everything they need. So I don't see why not.
Well, and I think there's issues with Blue Sky, like we said before, like regulatory concerns. Is it actually going to be a decentralized blockchain? I don't know. So we'll see. But I want to move on. NFTs to space. Chase Steely's project. He actually released a press release, issued a press release yesterday, and it was titled "Artists from around the world unite in a global artwork mission to the International Space Station." And they talk about how they sponsored over 50 artists who have sent 150 plus NFTs to space. Many of these NFTs were DeSo NFTs. I think the majority of them were. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the
Not
vast,
all of them. There were a good amount of Ethereum NFTs, but the majority were DeSo NFTs.
Yeah, I know we had a couple with Nader heads sent to space. It's been great, and Chase has been such an asset to this community. Super smart guy. We got to meet him in LA a couple of weeks ago. He's so passionate about what he's doing. So if you haven't checked NFTs to space out, definitely do so. They also have a DAO that they're in charge of for now. It's on the Ethereum blockchain, but what they're very active on DeSo. Of course, a lot of those DeSo NFTs have now been to the International Space Station. They're providing a lot of publicity for DeSo. So way to go, guys.
Yeah, congrats Chase Steely and the whole team involved and everybody who sent NFTs to space. I know Izzy, Matreshka. There's so many great people who had the opportunity to use them and send NFTs up to space through their program. So congratulations. Brian, so what were the top hashtags over the last 24 hours?
A lot of the same ones we've been seeing. Number one was DeSo. Number two was NFT. Number three was We Are DeSo, which we saw yesterday. Number four was photography. And number five was Web3. And Web3 is definitely a hot topic as of late.
And the top accounts on DeSo over the last 24 hours as far as earnings go, according to Open Prosper?
Yeah, so in the last 24 hours, $5,080 were earned from 40,970 creators. Now, this number is obviously a lot of bots. Salil Sethi actually gave some details. He said that 50% of all transactions on DeSo are either through a bot or are automated. And one account, that Alchemist, is responsible for 40,000 transactions each day. So when you see that 40,970 creators earning, a lot of that is due to the Alchemist. They're basically purchasing a tiny fraction of Creator Coin. It results in a founder award being generated for each user. Those 40,000 people or so are basically earning a small founder award, like very, very, very small. Other accounts that he says they're using automation are DeSo Wheel, Overclout, Cocky Clout, and Global Clout. And there's nothing wrong with using automation. I don't want to act like these people are doing something wrong. It's part of the blockchain. It's just, I don't want people to think that these stats are really inflated when they are not. So $5,080 earned.
Well, they are really inflated. They are really inflated.
Yeah,
they're just
I said that
inflated
wrong.
for certain reasons.
Right. I don't want them to think that these numbers are 100% accurate. The dollar value might be accurate, but the number of creators is obviously not. Although 12 creators earned at least one DeSo, this is pretty much accurate, and 3 creators earned 10 DeSo. The 3 creators earning 10 DeSo are Supernovas, who earned $1,530 selling their NFTs, which are going to be convertible to DAO coins next month. DAO earned $1,288. Doing the same thing. Seals was number 3. They're also running a DAO, so the top 3 are all DAOs. After that, it's Aditya, Shade Flowers Wallet, Michelle Lord, Smith, 80 Wallet, Priyana Check, and Beer Selfie. So congrats to all of them.
Yeah, it's good to see some different names up there today. And thanks to Salil Sethi for telling us some of the details of the bots. That was very helpful and very useful. I just want to welcome back a few people. Of course, Open Prosper has their welcome back page that shows people who have been off DeSo for over 30 days, who have come back. Madam Fetish, she had been gone for 69 days, and this seems crazy to me. It seems like I was just talking with her the other day, but I guess it was over 69 days ago. She came back and made a post saying, "And I'm back, bitches." So she's back. Welcome back, Madam Fetish. Savvy. So Savvy is the co-founder of DeSo Messenger. he came back and diamonded a post from DeSo Messenger, which was an intro video from their other co-founder, Jason Knott. Welcome back, Sabby. I know you're not really gone. You just haven't been posting. And Patern, that's Piotr. He is actually part of the core team, does a lot of work for the core team. He was gone for 30 days and he came back to reply to a post from Elgin. So welcome back to Patern, Sabby, and Madam Fetish. There are also some other people who came back. It's hard to list them all, but congratulations for making it back. And I think that's all the news we have for today. No community events scheduled as of yet, according to Miss Katie Ann. So that's all we have, and we will talk to everyone tomorrow. Be sure to follow us on YouTube if you aren't already, and answer that question. What was the question, Brian?
Oh gosh, I forget now. Now, the question is, who will be the first major corporation to integrate with DeSo and why?
There you go. Answer that question for some diamonds. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you tomorrow.